everyone. Today I will give a brief introduction on cross-cultural pragmatics. I will talk about pragmatics first, and then cross-cultural pragmatics. After that, I will offer an example of cross-cultural pragmatic differences. Last, I will conclude the presentation with the significance of cross-cultural pragmatics. So let's start with what is pragmatics. To simply put, pragmatics is the study of how language is used in the context. And the context is actually a very broad term. It includes the culture, gender, power relationship, or all the factors that are happening when the speaking or writing to take place. So far, three topics have been most explored: implied meaning, speech acts, and the politeness theory. Implied meaning refers to the fact that sometimes the literal meaning does not really convey the speaker's true intention. You need to read through the surface or literal meaning to get the real intention of the speaker. Speech acts means how to do things with words. We can use language to accomplish requests, compliments, or refusals extra. Politeness theory is more about how to use language in a proper way to save your face or others' face, or to avoid potential awkward situation or embarrassment. Here is an example of implied meaning. When I have dinner with my husband, I always ask my husband, "What do you want to drink?" The literal meaning is an inquiry of my husband about his preference of drink options. But actually, what I really mean is to ask him to make a cup of cappuccino for me. So you see, the implied meaning is to ask my husband to prepare a cup of coffee for me. Cross-cultural pragmatics is the study of language use across cultures. It emphasizes the close relationship between language and culture. And the language use is always happening in a specific culture. This cross-cultural pragmatics approaches language and the culture as a holistic, single, and inseparable system. If we only focus on the pure language use without considering the cultural element, we may not accurately or correctly grasp the true language and the true the true intention of the language speakers. So far, three topics have been explored mostly: speech acts, politeness theory, high context versus low context cultures. I will expand more on the last topic. High context refers to that the language use relies heavily on the context, like Chinese. Chinese is a tenseless language. Without reading the surrounding words, you would never know when the action or event really happened. You need to rely on the context, on the other words to catch the real time. Uh, in, co- in contrast to low context cultures, they do not rely so heavily on the cultural on the culture, on the context. For instance, German language is pretty is pretty, you know, independent from the from the culture or context, what they say mostly conveys what they mean. Here is an example of politeness in different cultures. Before we watch that video, I want to review a little bit background knowledge of different cultures. I mean, Chinese culture and American culture. Chinese culture is prone to collective thinking, which means that what you say and how you behave depends on the other's responses and the surrounding factors. You adjust to your speaking or behavior by observing how others behave. You do not only care about yourself, you need to observe carefully what is happening right now. In contrast, American culture tends to individualistic oriented. They focus more about what I want to see, what I need, not so much attentive to the surrounding to others' intention. The video is about the cultural contact conflicts in the family dinner party. So when you watch the video, pay attention to the differences listed below. Making a toast, grabbing food, bragging, modesty. The video is about a girl inviting her boyfriend to see her family members for the first time, and they were dining together around a round table. Let's watch the video now.
A few things I forgot to mention.
Let me make a toast.
You shouldn't have had that second glass when everyone else had had only half an inch just for taste.
Shrimp, my favorite.
You should have taken only a small spoonful of the best dish until everyone had had a helping.
He has good appetite.
He shouldn't have bragged he was a fast learner. But the worst was when Rich criticized my mother's cooking, and he didn't even know what he had done. As is the Chinese cook's custom, my mother always insults her own cooking, but only with the dishes she serves with special pride.
It's not salty enough. No flavor. It's too bad to eat. But please. Oh.
That was our cue to eat some and proclaim it the best she'd ever made.
You know, Linda, all this needs is a little soy sauce. Oh, oh, oh.
A few things I forgot.
So you must have observed the shocking face on those family members and the embarrassment of the girlfriend. We will go over those differences one by one. For regarding making a toast in Chinese culture, when you drink the first cup of wine, you should wait and see whether others have finished their round of wine or not. If not, you should wait at least until the at least one finish their wine. Then you can fill up your cup and drink another. But in this video, the man didn't care. The man finished his first cup and then drank another one. That's why the the girlfriend was a little bit embarrassed. And when it comes to the second behavior, grabbing food, in Chinese culture, we we only get a spoonful of food first because we need to guarantee that others have the chance to enjoy that food too. In this video, the American man grabbed the share he wants, and he didn't care whether others can taste that food as well, is to taste that food either. And for the bragging, this is also quite different from American culture in Chinese in Chinese culture. Even though you are quite proficient in some skill or very knowledgeable in some field, we try to be modest and and not brag in public. It's kind of a taboo, bragging. Don't do that. But in this video, we can see that the American man, he was not that good at using chopsticks, but he bragged that he he was a fast learner. He has mastered how to use it. But it turned out not to be that way. For the last one, modesty is also is also kind of Chinese feature. That is, you see, in the mom offered the food that she was pretty proud of, but she used another way. She said something opposite way that the food is not salty enough, not good, not good enough. What she really means is that she wants to hear a compliment from the guest instead of the improvement tips. But the American man took all those words literally, and indeed he did uh read some improvement tips, suggestions, and pour the soy sauce over the fish. That's quite unexpected in Chinese culture, and that's the reason why the man beside him was shocked. So why do we explore and study the cross-cultural pragmatics? Because it's so significant. And just now we watched the video about on the miscommunication in intercultural context. If we are equipped with, cross-cultural pragmatics, we can explain those miscommunication moments. And this can also be applied to help second language learners because learning a second language or teaching a second language do not just only refers to teaching them the meaning, the vocabulary, the grammar. It also includes how to teach students to use the language properly in a certain context, in a certain culture. Cross-cultural pragmatics also encourage cross-cultural awareness, tolerance, and empathy, which means that if we are aware that that different cultures impact the ways to behave, the way of speaking, then we would be more tolerant to those embarrassing moments and show empathy to the people who are just going through this. Last, it also shows that the language use reflects cultural values. It cannot be separated from those cultural values. That's all my presentation. Thank you so much.